right, here we go. Another episode of Kanata on the Rocks. I am your host, Fadi Kuder, local realtor with Southern Group Ottawa. And today I'm joined with one of my best friends, truly best friends. We've been friends for about 4 years or so, Danielle Jolicoeur.
So you got my name right.
See, I got her name right. And I've been trying this for the last 4 years.
Amazing. It can also be a bit more complex when people are selling and buying, right?
Oh, yeah.
So there is a little bit of difference in terms of that as well with the Gatineau.
Yeah, tell me more.
Yeah, so pretty much from what I understand in Ottawa, you can get a pre-approval from the bank. They say, okay, yes, you're approved, 500,000, no problem. And then you can go in and put an offer in on a property. And let's say you have a house to sell, right? You have a house to sell, you know it's going to sell fast, but you want to secure the property you're purchasing before selling your property. So you don't find, having to camp out at Fadi's house or whatever.
No thanks.
I literally said that to clients this week. I was like, listen, we got to make sure to put all the conditions in place because I don't have a spare bedroom for you to stay in with your 2 kids and your bunny and your bird and all that.
Yeah. Especially when they're doing a buy and a sale.
Yeah, so this
right?
is the situation. So from what I understand in Ottawa is you can put in an offer, not conditional to financing, right?
Mm-hmm.
No condition of financing. And you're going to sell your house. Anyways, the offer gets accepted. Then you list your house. Then you sell your house. Then you get your full approval from the bank and everything is sent to the lawyers. In Gatineau, it's not like that. So there's another level of complexity because on the Quebec side in Gatineau, when you write an offer, you have to provide proof of financing within 14 days normally. So you can't just write an offer, say I'm not putting the financing condition because I know right now I wouldn't be approved because I have my other house I'm selling, but I'm going to do the possession date 4 months out to give me the time to sell my house and everything is going to be sent to the notary, no problem. That's not how it works. Mm-hmm. So it is a little bit of difficult place to be in because it's in the market that we're in, I would say even right now, even homes that are $1 million can have bidding wars on them. So if you come in with a condition of sale, chances are you're not really going to have much success. So you almost have to sell your home first, do a later closing to give yourself time to find something, and then go in with an offer and then provide financing. Mm-hmm. So it is a little bit different.
You're right. It's a bit different, but we don't necessarily... we can still go in with a condition of finance. And
do you see that a lot, though?
Yeah, it's something called first refusal. So, basically,
yes,
you would go and you put an offer on a house, and in that offer, you've got a couple of conditions: finance, possibly inspection, maybe status if there's a condo fee, whatever. And then there's another condition called first refusal. So basically, what that is you're just telling the seller that, look, Mr. Seller, I'd love to buy your house, but I'm going to buy it and I'm going to waive those conditions in 6 or 7 days. But by the way, I have another condition that's going to last for another maybe month and a half, depending on what you are okay with, to sell my house. If my house doesn't sell, I can back out. So it's not the ultimate position to be in because, again, your offer is not as strong from a buying perspective.
Exactly.
But if that seller has the house on the market for 100 days or 70 days or whatever, they might consider it. It's all about supply and demand.
But do you have a lot of people who need to sell their house who go in without the financing condition, without the condition of sale of their house, and
they can. I don't suggest it.
Okay.
So they can. If, for example, they know for a fact that they are pre-approved and they can buy both houses, they can afford both houses at the same time, their mortgage agent or bank, whatever, giving them the go-ahead, it's their decision.
You don't.
It's totally their decision if they say, I don't want to go with any conditions. But as a devil's advocate, I always say,
what if it doesn't sell?
Let me secure you a little bit. My job is to secure people.
Yes.
At the end of the day, you pay me or the seller pays me to help you close the deal.
Exactly.
And to help you close the deal, I want to make sure that not only help you, but also secure you that you're not losing that house.
Of course.
You know what I mean? the chances are like, and maybe this is information for some people out there, like if you're gonna put a house on the market and you take it out on a contract and you shored up on the, like you came up to the conditions and you firmed up on it, you're pretty much putting yourself at jeopardy if you cannot close on it. Not only that you're going to lose that deposit, so a couple of things can go wrong.
Do you lose because see, I know we're talking
So right
about
off
the
the bat-
Gatineau market here, but I'm curious.
Yeah.
Right off the bat,
Right off the bat,
automatically,
automatically that
the
deposit
is given
held,
to the seller,
is given
or
to the
it's
seller.
held?
It's held, given to the seller.
It's given to the seller immediately.
Next thing would happen, the seller, like you'd have to tell the
Okay.
seller, hey, I'm actually going to break the contract. I'm in breach.
Imagine he's
And
bought a house too.
My
I'm
broker
sure it's
record would be
happened.
so proud of me right now that I'm able to kind of put this in perspective. So the next thing they go is, okay, well, listen, I got to let you know that I'm breaching the contract. So you breach the contract. Now the seller has the ability to go out on the market, put that house for sale, and they sell it. Now here's the kicker. If that seller sells it and they sell it for higher value, no questions asked, everything is good.
Everything's
You
good.
still lose that deposit. If that seller sells the house for less than what you committed for, guess who's on the hook for that difference?
Is the buyer that
You
backed
are,
out?
as a buyer.
And like, how does that work? Like, do they need to get like a lawyer? Do they need to pay a lawyer?
at
Do you
that
have
point,
small claims
yeah.
court here in Ottawa?
Yeah, so it can go to small claims. Again, it depends on what it is. If it's past 20, 25K, then automatically
Okay,
goes
you guys
to.
have that too. Okay,
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. Okay.
But the chances are the deposit is gone. Like there is no way for you to get that deposit back.
God.
Hence why we always make sure that that deposit is nice and solid
How much
on
is
the
the
seller side.
deposit typically?
It depends on the transaction.
like 10 grand?
Well, if it's 500 less, I'll probably be looking at 10, 15, which is, again,
I
it's,
wouldn't want to lose 10.
yeah. And if it's more than, 500, let's say 5 to a million, I might want to ask for 20, 25.
Oh my God.
So the deposit, it does two things. One, it shows the seller that you're fully committed to this and you're putting
And
your
that you have
money where
money.
your mouth is.
And you have money.
And you have money.
Yes.
And you're also still letting that seller know that, hey, like, I'm not going to back out. I know I'm going to lose this money if I back out. And this is why you got to really get a good agent that knows when to pull the strings and say, like, hey, you're about to make a bad decision. I need to see that letter of approval. I need to know that your bank has given you the thumbs up.
But it's hard. Like, I can imagine, especially right now, I don't know how the market's in Ottawa, but in Gatineau, I feel like the fall market, the inventory is not super high.
It's still here the same.
And I have like buyers looking, but then they'll also have to sell. And I do get concerned. Like once we come across something that works for them and it's like one day on market, like it will be hard for us to get an an accepted offer on this home conditional to the sale of their house. It's
But
always like
that's the
what
thing.
comes first, right?
Exactly. That comes to, two things. When you're negotiating, you got to negotiate from a place of power. Negotiating from a place of power, if you're the buyer trying to do a first refusal, it's not really. Like you're taking away
That's
that.
the thing.
Yeah. Unless that seller, again, what we said earlier, if that seller has been a little bit of a
Exactly.
desperation, it's been on the
That's
market,
right.
a little over 30 days, things are not looking as good as they're supposed to.
Then they're open.
Then they're open to entertaining a first right of refusal. They're even sometimes open to a vendor take back. There's always a deal to be made if, everything aligns up.
What would be the threshold you find where the seller becomes like motivated to collaborate? Like, is it 30
Motivation
days?
is a
Is
big
it
thing.
60 days? Is it 90
So-
days? What do you think about?
Really, really good question. However, motivation is a very vague.
Yeah, because if you have like
Big thing,
some
right?
other
So
pressures,
it
or
also depends on what is behind that motivation.
if there's a bad divorce and
For
they're still
example-
living there and they're using their real estate agent as the therapist,
As a therapist, which
that
I
could
will
be a
never
motivation.
That's a massive motivation. The agent in that scenario would probably be your biggest advocate because they want to just end that freaking transaction on a high note. But the motivation could be sometimes, a divorce, sometimes relocation, sometimes it could be
financial.
But if that motivation is not strong,
They can just sit.
then they can just say, okay, I'm going to let it sit on the market. Like, sometimes you can get a property sitting on the market for 200 days because the seller doesn't really they don't
motivated.
have that crazy motivation to like just get it off, sell it.
Get it.
But sometimes if the seller is really motivated, then you can come in, do a first refusal, shave off, 10, 15, 20,000,
Yes.
even on the first refusal, and then hope for the best.
Yes.
But first refusal is a to me it's like a necessary evil. Like you only do it if you really gotta do it, and you only do it if you know your house is gonna sell really quick. Because what happens, and then I've had this happening to me before, and I always very, very upfront and honest with clients.
So
Look,
important.
I don't want to disappoint you. You might lock this up for a month. If your house takes longer than a month to sell, we might have to release. Are you gonna be okay with that? Because at the end of the day, like everything we do in real estate is all about expectations.
Oh,
Correct me
yeah.
if I'm wrong
People
with this.
need to be informed.
100%.
For sure.
And for me, expectations are massive. And the only way for those expectations to be met is if both parties fully understand it.
That's so
So if
true.
I set you up and go, by the way, you want to do this, I am all for it. But in a month, if we don't sell your house, given the market situation, given everything, I'd be a little bit, conservative on this. Maybe we'll wait a little bit until your house has been on the market for a couple
But
of
maybe
weeks.
also they can just readjust the price too.
Correct.
Like if they go in without a condition of
Correct.
sale and the closing of the other property they purchase is coming up, then adjusting the price could help.
Could
do
help
a
the
quick
seller. Like,
sale.
you could always go back, and there's so many nuances. Like I said,
Yes.
with real estate, there's always the extra. So you could go
It's all
back and
different,
say,
yes.
"Hey, look, we're just about to, we don't necessarily breach, but we were gonna walk away on the fact that the, first refusal didn't
Okay,
come through.
so there's discussions.
But would you guys be willing to take another $10,000 additional to the
Okay.
sale, or what do you think?"
Okay.
The seller actually might be open to it.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, now you're telling me instead of getting 500 for my house, I'm getting 510. You know what? I'll wait another month to know if you're going to sell your house or not.
Okay.
Now it's committed for another month.
That is really like also very interesting to in terms of our value
Hmm.
advocates for our clients.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, we do have negotiation skills and we do have good suggestions
Well, it's
in
also like,
terms of working through that, right? Whereas like, particular people, buyers and sellers,
100%.
it's difficult to negotiate
Like
on their own
on
behalf.
average, you're doing what, 30, 40 transactions a year, maybe more.
Yeah, usually
right?
more, yes.
A normal person is doing one every 3 years.
Yes,
maybe
that's
if they're
so
lucky,
true, Fatty.
right? So
That's so
like
true.
you are
That is
literally
so true.
literally about 100 times more qualified to sell
is
a house,
true.
if not more.
I know.
And it's all because of the nuances, right? So like I'm sitting there and going like, oh, this can go wrong, this can go wrong. This
Yes.
They're like, how did you think of all of this? Because I've done it so many times and I
Mm-hmm.
know it could go wrong.
That's so true.
Another thing too, like with first refusal, and this is where I normally do not suggest it unless it's like a necessary evil, right? The seller themselves will take a first refusal, but then they could end up selling it again.
Exactly.
They can get an offer. So you have basically
Exactly.
what happens, the clock ticks. The second they get an offer,
That's right.
now they turn to you and go, Mr. Buyer, guess what? I got another offer. You got 48 hours to come up and tell me that you're okay with this, or I'm going to have to accept the next offer.
And what's unfortunate with that too is like sometimes if a buyer is purchasing a property, let's say on the outskirts, right? And they'll do like their septic inspection, which costs a lot of money.
So much.
Building inspection, which costs a lot of money. Start working on getting their financing lined up, and then they get the notice
Mhm.
that there's another offer that's come in and they're going to be losing the house. That is unfortunate too because it is a big investment.
Yeah.
But
Like
it's better than
you're
finding
already in it.
yourself with multiple homes. I
Exactly.
guess.
$2,500 into it, and then
Exactly.
the seller comes back and says, hey, by the way, somebody else is about to purchase this. What do you think?
Oh
So
my
at that
gosh.
point, you have the option to either go, okay, I'm going to wing it. I don't know if my house is going to sell. Good freaking luck. Or option two, maybe you're, successful. I don't want to say successful. Successful maybe is not the right word. You're lucky enough that you can do a bridge finance.
That's right.
That's another option. And we can explain that for anybody that's asking. Put it in the comments.
Yeah.
We'll let you know what it is. And then the third option would be to just, unfortunately, walk away. So you're already $2,500 out.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Hopes and dreams that are gone.
I know. It
shit,
is sad,
basically.
right? I found out, oh
yeah.
my gosh, can you imagine? Yesterday I was visiting a house with clients and we had been in a bidding war maybe like a month and a half ago. Anyways, we're looking at this house in Old Hall yesterday, and I was like, hey guys, yeah, we never looked into how much that house sold for that we had bid on that we lost. And so I opened my phone. They're like, yeah, we'd like to know, but we're not sure we want to know, but we'd like to know. Oh my God, Fatty, I found out yesterday we lost it for like $1,400. Yeah. I don't know now what the conditions were on the other offer. Like we had an inspection condition. I don't know if the other offer had an inspection condition, but we just found out we lost it for $1,400. My clients are like, hurts. I would have paid $5,000 more.
We lost once. One of my clients lost on $275.
What?
200 in multiple offers. $275.
No, Fatty.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everything
hurts.
Was all equal. You look at.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, because I called and I said, hey, like, are you okay
happened?
telling me what happened? He's like, yeah, I'll tell you everything. Basically, we had all the conditions the same. Everything is all the same. It was $275.
You're kidding me.
Less on our offer. And that's what they
lost.
Oh my
gosh. They must have been so
they were so heartbroken.
At that point, I guess you have to trust life that it just wasn't meant to be. But yeah, I think also we have to manage disappointment in this market.
Exactly. The same thing goes when it comes to also first right refusal when they end up losing. It's disheartening. And I always tell my people this. You are never going to end up in a house that's not supposed to be yours.
I know. I appreciate
And you'll always end up in the house that's supposed to be the one you're supposed to end up in.
I appreciate
They're like, oh. And then the same people that were very upset, the next house that we found and we put an offer on it was perfect for them. It was actually a better house for them.
I love that.
Than the other one that they lost for $275. And the same thing with the folks that we had the first refusal. They were very upset for about 4 days. They wouldn't even talk to me for 4 days, and I was like, "Oh, it looks like I lost them completely." But they're friends. At the end of the day, like
they're just
you go out, you have a glass of wine with them, and they're like, "Yeah, we're just, you know what? You said this, we didn't believe it. Thank you so much for bringing it out." And the best part is, we really appreciate that you didn't say, "I told you so."
Well,
because it's not my job to say "I told you so." At the end of the day, like it's the wrong thing to do.
Yeah, no, and then people make their own decisions based on what they feel comfortable with, right? So that's
and we're sitting there, we're just discussing like, how sad they were at this place. And I said, by the way, something just hit my email this morning. Do you guys want to take a look at it? It's exclusive. That. They're like, yeah, let's take a look. I sent it to them while we're sitting there. They're like,
no.
Can we go see it tomorrow? I said, let me just call the agent right now, actually, before
oh my God.
I'm 2 glasses in. So I called the agent. I'm like, hey, I'd love to see this house tomorrow. Is that possible? Yeah, we can bring you guys in. No problem. Let me talk to the seller. I'll get back to you on the time. So they got all excited. The next day we see it, and they're like, oh, my God, you were 100% right. We are never going to buy the house unless it's meant for us.
Oh, I love that. And they had the house? They got the house?
They got the house.
Oh, yeah.
And it was less expensive than the other house.
And they loved it more.
And they loved it more. House. And they had almost one of the highest inspection reports that I've seen, like almost 98% clean.
That is amazing.
So here's the thing, guys. We're coming on time. Yes. We could sit down and talk for probably hours.
Danielle
and I have done this many times before. Yes. Not necessarily podcasts, but we've done the sit down and talk for literally hours.
Coffee time, yes.
And we can probably do another podcast on that.
I think we'd have other things to talk about.
I think we should do like a little sort of once a month check-in on podcasts.
We should,
I think we should
on the Gatineau market, yes.
With that being said, thank you so much for watching. If you guys like what you see, please don't forget to subscribe for this because, we get a lot of businesses around the city. And if you hit the subscribe, make sure you hit that little bell icon so you get alerted by it. And obviously, if you like this, just hit the like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much. It's Fatty Kuder with the Sutton Group. Kanata on the rocks. Like and subscribe.
Thank you, Fatty, for having me.
Thanks again, Danielle. Really appreciate it.